No one's gonna find his body anyway. No, Tim, we're not cutting that out. It was a joke. People can either get it or they can look for the body. Hey y'all, I'm AJ Reyes.
And I'm Timothy Dailey-Valdes.
And this is Can I Bother You? So before we get started, I just want to remind you that we are on all the social media at canibotheryu.com. Or what? You guys knew what I meant. Don't look at me like that. Our website is canibotheryu.com. On social media, we are at Can I Bother You. On Instagram and Twitter, and on the Facebook, we are at Can I Bother You Podcast. So definitely, follow us and say hello. We like making new friends.
Absolutely.
Speaking of making new friends, Timothy, why are you here?
I live here. I'm here with you on this dark and stormy night, although it's slightly less dark and stormy than it was earlier in the day.
That's true. It was super stormy and like hardcore lightning and thundering.
Mm-hmm. And it put me in mind of the gothic and the ethereal. And it made me think about the veil between what we understand and what science can explain, and on the other side of the veil, the things that it can't necessarily, or the things that we aren't as sure about.
I'm into it. For those of you who don't know, I'm super into unexplainable and like dark and creepy and mysterious. I love horror movies, even though I don't watch them the way I used to. But yeah, I regularly watch ghost videos on YouTube. Sure, most of them probably are almost definitely not real, but I'm still entertained, and they give me ideas for writing. So that's what's most important to me. If something can benefit me, I'm down for it.
That's an interesting thing that you bring up, AJ. I was going to mention your love of examining other people's paranormal accounts. I guess we can start with that. What are your thoughts on ghosts or spirits? What do you think?
I think that they are probably listening right now, so we should be very careful. They're like the CIA, man. I mean, I believe in them, if that's what you're asking. I certainly believe that they're real. I also don't believe that everyone who says they have a ghost story has a ghost story. Like, you might have something strange and unexplainable to you, but I don't think that that means it's a ghost or something. But I do believe that they exist and that people do have experiences with them. I myself, I can only think of one at the moment. And it wasn't even a ghost, it was a shadow person, which is not necessarily the same thing. But when I was a kid, before I was a teenager, I might have been a preteen, but I'm almost positive I was probably like 8 or 9. And anyway, me and my niece Farah, hey Farah, if you're listening, I love you. And no one else. I'm not capable of love, except for Farah and my mom. And you know what? Let's not go down this rabbit hole. Anyway, thanks for bringing it up, Farah. So when I was like, I'm just gonna say I was 8 or 9 because I'm pretty sure that's where I was. Farah would have been like 4 or 5, and so we were hanging out in the living room of my house, and I think we're having a slumber party or something because it was nighttime. We were like turning off the lights and getting ready to go to bed, and we've like laid out our blankets on the floor and stuff, and getting all ready for the sleeps, and then like, in the doorway of the kitchen, so the doorway of the kitchen and the hallway like met at the same corner, and that's the corner of the living room. You go into either direction. And in the doorway of the kitchen, I like saw an outline of a person, and it wasn't moving, it was just standing there. And so I was like freaked out, and I don't know how late it was, but honestly it was probably pretty late because we didn't tend to go to sleep early. But I remember like whispering to Farah, like, Farah, do you see that? And I had to like point it out to her, and she said she did. And so I'm like, okay, if we both see it. Now, to be fair, little Farah might have just been saying that to, like, be cool with her amazing Uncle AJ, because I mean, who could blame her, right? But I mean, I don't think so. I don't think that's what it was. I believe that we both saw the same shadow because I asked her to describe it the next day, and she did, in the way that I remembered seeing it. So I'm like, okay, no, we both saw it. It was definitely there. And I think that was the only time I remember seeing it. My memory of my childhood's a little fuzzy sometimes. But anyway, I mean, it was very clear. It was the outline of a person, and although it wasn't moving, I never saw it in that spot again. So I mean, like, I don't think that we both just imagined the same thing.
Yeah.
But that was also my only experience in that house, and we lived there for a few years. So I can't be sure what it was, but I know I saw something.
Do you have any ideas as to, like, what the nature of it might have been.
You mean like if it was like sinister or something?
Yeah, or like if you think it was like the spirit of a deceased person, or if you think it was some otherworldly creature of some kind, or it's okay if you don't. I'm just curious.
No, in my case, I don't know because it was the only time I saw it.
Sure.
If I had ever seen it again, I definitely would have taken more time to form a theory because pretty much who I am now, it's very similar to who I've always been. Obviously, I've grown as I have grown. I've grown and changed as I have grown and changed, but in essence, I'm still an emo child who loves darkness, and so like that was me when I was 8, and that's me now. So I'm pretty sure 8-year-old AJ, also 8-year-old AJ loved like spy things, so he was always down to investigate and learn more, and so like I wanted to see it again, even though it scared me. It scared me real bad, but like I wanted to know more, so I wanted to see it again, but because I didn't, I honestly felt like I didn't have enough information to make an educated guess on what it was.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, in case it wasn't clear, guys, we're of the Harriet the Spy generation. So, like, a lot of people who grew up around the same time as us have a certain spy streak.
Yeah, like Katie's got it. Our friend Katie. Hey, Katie, if you're listening.
Hey, Katie.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing that, like, our little portion of age is definitely into that.
Our little millennial sliver.
Yeah, I had a whole little spy kit that I made myself.
Me too.
Yeah, I had a little compact mirror, and because I loved that you could like use that to look around corners. I was like, that's fucking brilliant. I'm so goddamn smart. And like out of the Scholastic Book Fair, of course I would get books, but I would also get like the little extra toys that they had. There was a thing. It was like an electronic doodad. A little gadget. It looked like, it was plastic, so it was supposed to look like a candy bar. It's like disguised as a candy bar. But like you turn on, there's a little button on the end of it. So imagine a rectangular candy bar, and like on the flat end, it had a little button, and you could, I'm trying to remember, I think it had 2 settings, but I can only remember one. Oh no, it did have 2 settings, because one was silent, where only the light went off, and one was with sound and the light. So you place it somewhere. You can place it like in a drawer, or you can like place it behind a closed door, and then if someone were to open the drawer or to open the door and push it, it would go off because of it had like a motion sensor in it, so you could tell someone had opened the door. Yeah,
it would like go off like an alarm.
Yeah, it had the sound option, so yeah, I made like an alarm sound, but it also had like a very tiny red light on it, and the light would blink if it had been moved.
Wow. That's pretty high tech.
Yeah, it was like $7.
I will say that until the second time you said candy bar, it misregistered in my brain as candy cane. I don't really know what to do with that, but I was picturing the wrong thing for the first couple sentences of the story.
Before we get too far down the whole spy thing, first I want to hear your thoughts. Like, what do you think about ghosts or spirits or like other entities?
I think that there are a lot of things that we, and by we I mean, I'm not sure if I mean every human being or most, but I think there are things that at the very least most of us can't explain and don't understand. And I think that I consider myself an agnostic when it comes to ghosts and paranormal beings and phenomena like that. Like, I'm open. Yeah, I consider myself sort of an open-minded, curious person. I don't know. I think skeptic is maybe too strong a word when we're talking about what we're talking about. Like, I definitely believe that there are things that are strange and unexplainable.
But like when you say you're agnostic, you mean like if ghosts were like a religion, if ghosts were gods, you're agnostic in this sense that you neither believe that they exist nor believe they don't exist? Is that what you mean?
No. I mean agnostic in the sense of not thinking it's possible to know.
Oh, got you.
So,
okay. So wait, you think like there can't be proof of it?
Well, no, not exactly. I just think that maybe that proof, whatever it may be, is sort of beyond our understanding. Not even that we could never understand it if something in particular happened. I know I'm being really vague.
I mean, yeah, you're being super vague.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm open to the possibility of such things existing.
Okay.
And so, like, if a friend came up to me and told me a story about some encounter that they had with the supernatural, unless it was like, I will say, okay, so I was thinking at some point during this conversation, we could talk about like spirituality, religion, whatever. So for what it's worth, I consider myself, again, an agnostic Catholic, meaning like, as far as religion goes, I don't think we can know what's out there or not out there religiously. I just don't think, barring some sort of miracle, that's something that humans know. But I personally consider myself a Catholic. I don't think that you have to be a Catholic to go to heaven. I don't think that it's the only right way to live your life. Obviously, I'm queer, as I've mentioned before. Like, I have my own very complicated relationship with Catholicism. But where I was going with this was, if I had a friend who came to me and said, Timothy, St. Michael, St. Catherine, and St. Margaret
I'll walk into a bar.
Yes, they walked into a bar and they told me that I have to save France. I'd be like, really though? Like, so I think there are like levels to what I'll believe and not believe. And I think I'm probably a hypocrite about the whole thing. I think I'm probably like very inconsistent. But that's just who I am as a person, I guess.
No, yeah, I mean, I'm going to say that yes, I do think you are being a hypocrite, but I think we are all hypocrites about almost everything. Because, like, not even joking, because there are plenty of things that I'm like, oh, people shouldn't do that, but I do it. or like, I don't want to date someone who does that, but like plenty of my friends do that, whatever that is, you know. Or opposite, like I don't want friends who act this way, but I might want to date someone who acts that way.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, can you give me an example of that?
No, I cannot. So we're gonna move on. We can talk about that in another episode when I've had time to think of examples.
Well, I can think of an example of the first thing you said.
Oh, that one's easier.
Yeah, but I can't remember a time that you've been like, I could date someone who does this, but I wouldn't want to be friends with someone who does that. Or who is this way or whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not doubting you at all. I was just curious.
What about, so like there are plenty of like ghost hunting tools and stuff. Do you just believe that those are not real, or like they're bullshit, or like?
I think that too much is probably made of them.
But there's some sort of a thing, it's like a radio or a walkie-talkie or something, and like you just change it to a certain frequency and then the ghost can speak to you through it. I can't remember any other instance in which I've seen anyone use it, but I was watching BuzzFeed Unsolved. I don't know if any of y'all have seen BuzzFeed Unsolved, but they would tell unsolved stories, or they would go to haunted locations or something. And so they went to the apartment of this other YouTuber, Loey Lane, because she was saying that her apartment is haunted. And so that's one of the only times I can remember seeing anyone use that like radio walkie-talkie thing. But like on it, the ghost like said her name. First it said Loey, and then it said Lauren, which she specified was her legal name. And like you can hear it pretty clearly, but I'm also like, if it works through radio frequencies, any talking at all that you hear on it could just be being picked up from another radio frequency.
Sure.
Or if you are specifically trying to fake it for this event, someone else could be on some sort of walkie-talkie that also gets into it and then speaks that way. So I'm like, even if it does contact ghosts, I can't necessarily believe that is what it's doing right now, because it can also contact humans. So like, so like, I don't know how much I believe it. But what about like, have you seen footage or photos where people are like, look at this ghostly figure, or?
I can't think of one that I've seen that I thought, oh man, there's no way to explain this. That has to be a ghost, or like, you know, a spirit or whatever. I can't remember an instance in which that's happened. But I mean, some of them are pretty eerie.
Right?
Yeah. And I don't have an explanation for all of them, definitely. Or most of them, probably.
I'm not into TikTok at all, really. But it's partially just because I'm just not particularly into it, and largely because I've already got so many other social media things going on that I'm like, I can't afford to take on a brand new one. But there's like the haunted side of TikTok, and like there's a bunch of TikTokers who have videos of ghost sightings and stuff. And so the reason that I even started paying attention to that was because I saw a compilation, and in it, this woman is like, I think she's just sitting on her chair and she's recording her dog or something, and down the hallway behind the dog, you can see a doorway of a bedroom, And so I didn't see it at first. I thought she was like talking with the dog. She's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "The dog doesn't have anything. What do you mean, what's that?" But then I saw a sudden movement in the corner of the doorway, and so I replayed it. It's like a very vague outline of like this shadow sort of thing. It seems to be shaped like a head, like a person's head peering around the corner, and then it suddenly pulls back. My description is too vague to do it justice, but like it freaked me the fuck out. Like I kind of lost my shit because it looked so real. So I'm gonna assume that one was real. It scared me so bad.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it in the show notes so you guys can see it.
Oh, good plan.
And Tim, I'll show you later when this is all over.
Cool. Yeah, I'm curious to see it, but I'm also afraid that I'll have nightmares about it. I shouldn't say that. I have nightmares not infrequently, but I don't think they're usually caused by like being scared by a particular thing that happens to me during the day, and then that night I have a nightmare. I don't think I've ever had that. Although I will say one thing that we could potentially have a conversation about in this same general area is aliens. I have a deep, inexplicable fear of aliens. Not necessarily as a concept, I guess, because I've thought about this. And if they just looked like Earth people, Earth humans, or if they looked like, you know, if they were very cute, or if they weren't eerie to look at, I don't think that I would be as afraid of them as I am of like creepy cultural depictions of aliens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like Marvin the Martian's adorable.
Yeah. If they looked like Marvin the Martian, I would be like their best friend.
Yeah, for real though.
And I don't want to be a lookist. But they're often intentionally drawn to be unnerving. And those are the ones that scare me, I think. Where was I going with this? Oh, we were talking about nightmares. I was talking about nightmares. I've been blathering on forever. I'm sorry, y'all. Anyway, but I did have to sleep with the light on for like 2 weeks after I saw Signs. So just throwing that out there.
When I saw Signs, if you guys haven't seen Signs, the short version is it's a movie about aliens. But when I saw it, I think I started it and then I fell asleep maybe 10 minutes into it and I woke up just in time. Spoiler alert for Signs if you haven't seen it yet. It's like 20 years old. But,
Right? Like, spoiler alert.
But that's on you.
A 20-year-old movie.
But I fell asleep 10 minutes in and I woke up just in time to see the shadow, I think, of one of the aliens walking by and I like freaked out.
Yeah.
Because I woke up and it was the first thing I saw, and I was like, "What is this world?"
That
like,
sounds terrifying. They had a lot of like jump scares and stuff like that in that movie.
hate.
It's a very creepy movie, and I would say it's probably not worth seeing at this point. I mean, there's not nothing in it, but it's essentially a Jesus allegory, and Mel Gibson is Jesus. So like, I don't know that we need to dwell in that world.
Right. Okay, so you're scared of the idea of aliens. You've never come face to face with one.
No, I've never had what I would consider an extraterrestrial experience.
Do you think that those are real though? Both aliens and the experiences that people claim to have had with them?
If someone were to tell me, Timothy, you have to make a blanket statement one way or the other right now, I would say that at the very least, the vast majority of quote-unquote extraterrestrial encounters that have happened on Earth, I would have to say that they're probably not real. Only because it would basically depend on the existence of faster than light travel for me to consider it plausible that they, traveled from their home planet to here within the span of a normal lifetime. I guess they could have extremely advanced ships that, function like planets. I really don't know. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is I don't think that I would be willing to change my mind if I saw what I consider credible evidence, but I don't believe that humans have come into direct contact with aliens.
Okay, so you don't believe any of them, like any of the claims?
I don't think so. I will say that I think that some claims of UFOs could be something other than alien craft that we don't understand. And I mean, I will say that I think a lot of it is probably like classified military technology. But in general, no, I don't think that most quote unquote evidence of extraterrestrial contact or alien sightings or anything like that. I don't think that they're probably true. I wholeheartedly respect anybody who believes that that's what they've seen. I don't think that the majority of people who claim to have come into contact with aliens are lying intentionally. I think that some are, but I don't think that most are. I think that they just don't understand what they've seen.
Okay. But, like, I mean, abduction stories.
I think the majority of abduction stories are the mind trying to cope with trauma.
Okay, you keep saying majority or most of. So
Well,
that's implying that there are some.
Well, okay, no, I'm sorry. I don't think there's probably ever been an actual alien abduction of a human being.
Okay, that's what I was trying to understand.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, I think that some of them are the result of repressed trauma being, like, partially remembered, because a lot of the accounts of alien abductions come up in hypnotherapy sessions, and I think it's people only partially coming to terms with their trauma in ways that don't really make sense to them, if that makes sense. Yeah, I think the majority of abduction narratives are psychological in nature, I guess.
Okay. At this very second, I can't recall any abduction stories that I firmly believed, oh, they definitely were abducted. Because I believe that there are aliens. I don't think I've heard a story that I believe in terms of being abducted. But I also feel like there's just too much in the world for me to completely believe that it's not possible. Like, there's just too many things that have happened and that have yet to happen, and there are just too many people who feel different ways and know different things that I feel like if someone told me you have to decide whether someone has had, like tell me now, has someone been abducted or not, I would say yes. Like, if I had to say yes or no, I would say yes. Just because thinking of saying no after all of these people who've been alive, I don't feel like I can confidently say no. I just don't. But yeah, I also don't think that I've heard a story that I believe yet. So
I also want to clarify that I think it's statistically almost certain that there probably are aliens in the universe. I didn't want to make it sound like I think that we're completely alone. Just wanted to throw that out there.
In case, like, for the aliens who are listening.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Hi, aliens.
Hey, y'all. No offense, but please do not say hello.
Oh my gosh, that would be so scary.
Like, no, I'm just not ready for it. So,
yeah,
like,
thank you not
thank
either.
you for listening, but no, thank you.
Like, I don't think I can emotionally handle that right now.
No, I certainly couldn't emotionally handle it right now. I couldn't handle making my toast this morning. I can't talk to an alien right now. Like, y'all, get off my grill. Like, oh my god.
Why are you so obsessed with our planet?
I don't remember if you said something specifically about this earlier, or if you said something that made me think it. Do you feel like you've ever had any sort of unexplainable experience while you're dreaming? Because I definitely have that thing. I don't have it as much now, but when I was a kid, it happened so often. I would dream something, and then I would see it the next day. And, like, I've heard that explained as just, like, I don't know. I don't know the science terms for it, but it's essentially like your brain is glitching in the moment that you're seeing it.
Right.
But I'm like, no, I have a pretty vivid memory of that dream.
Yeah. I've had that exact same thing happen too.
Yeah. Do you have any other experiences in your dreams?
I don't think in addition to that, but I definitely have different iterations of that. Like, I'll be having a conversation with someone or overhearing a conversation, and I'm like, I know what they're going to say next because I heard this conversation in a dream. Like that. That's when it feels the most vivid to me, I think.
Oh, like when you hear something? Or like words or something?
Yeah, I guess so. But I can also, like, the picture is the same too.
Got you, yeah.
But it seems to mostly be centered around various conversations. Not always. Yeah, I don't know what to make of that, of, like, dream deja vu.
Dreamja vu?
Dreamja vu. I guess it would be, I was trying to think of what it would be in French, because deja vu means to see again. But I mean, I guess, yeah, you wouldn't be changing the seeing because you're still seeing it. I guess you could call it vue après rêve, which means, like, to see after a dream. I'm probably, like, I just pulled that out of my brain. So, like, forgive me if the grammar's wrong. But anyway.
Well, it was pretty.
Oh, thank you.
That was sarcasm. You must be tired. I asked him if he was tired earlier, and he said a little bit.
Just a little. Oh, going back, I remembered a thing I was going to ask you about, branching off of the shadow people thing. I know that a lot of people who've given accounts of seeing shadow people, I know you said you just saw the one, but I know a lot of people who have seen them or have seen what they believe to be, or what they would call a shadow person, also have either throughout their lives or at some point in their lives dealt with sleep paralysis. And like they'll often see a shadow person and be in the grips of sleep paralysis at the same time. Mm-hmm. Have you ever experienced that?
I've experienced sleep paralysis once, and it was the most terrifying thing that's ever happened to me. I was in high school. I think it was either freshman or sophomore year, and I didn't see like a shadow person or anything, but I was awake and I couldn't move. Mm-hmm. Like I was trying so hard and I could not move. I remember being absolutely terrified, and then I was asleep again. And then when I woke up again after that, I was able to move. But like I was like, oh God.
Wow.
Yeah, it was so friggin' scary. And I was definitely awake. I know I did not dream it. Because those are the things that people have asked me. I haven't talked about this a lot or anything, but the few times that I have mentioned it to anyone, they're like, are you sure you didn't dream it? And I'm like, bitch, if I dreamt it, I would know it was a dream. And if nothing else, I'm like, the fear was too real for it to have been a dream. I've never been that scared in a dream before. But yeah, fortunately, I didn't see anything, at least, when it happened. Yeah, that would have been too much. I can't imagine having sleep paralysis and seeing something, because I didn't see anything and I was still so scared. Because I mean, you wake up and you can't move. Like I couldn't move, I couldn't speak. It was terrifying.
How old were you when that happened?
A freshman or a sophomore in high school.
You said that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, the listeners probably remember because they were actually paying attention. But actually, my friend Natalie, hey Natalie, if you're listening, she's not listening. But my friend Natalie was actually in a movie about sleep paralysis.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah. I'm looking it up on the IMDb now because I can't remember what it's called. Oh, it's called Dead Awake, and she actually played the monster, the being. I think, listeners, if you're interested in seeing that, it's on Netflix, I think it was, or maybe it was Hulu. I don't know. That was also like 3 years ago though.
Do you ever find yourself having recurring dreams?
I'm gonna say no, but I also don't remember my dreams. So, like, I mean, maybe I do, and I just never remember it.
Oh, so, like, as a general rule, you don't remember your dreams?
I don't remember my dreams, no. There was a period at some point within the past few years where I think there was, like, a month or two where I was straight dreaming every night and remembering that I was dreaming every night. But other than those few months, pretty much my entire life, I don't usually remember my dreams. I mean, every now and then, I'll remember one, but certainly not consistently enough for me to feel like I could say I remember my dreams. I remember nightmares better than I remember dreams.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But I also don't remember my nightmares all that much, and I have a lot of them. Within the past, like, year, there was a period where I was waking up 2 or 3 times a night from nightmares. It was fun. Yeah, it was great. There was one time when I think I was in the same house with the shadow people. I'm not saying it's connected. I'm just trying to remember what period of my life it was in. I was in that same house. So it was anywhere from 3rd grade to 8th grade. I don't remember how old I was, but that's the house I was in. So it was somewhere in that age range. I don't remember anything about the dream except that within it, I got cut or scratched or something, and it scared me awake, and I had a scratch on my arm where I had been cut or scratched in the dream. And so, like, it wasn't like a deep cut, but it was that thing where it's like some blood,
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know if I just scratched myself in my sleep or like what, but it was still weird as hell.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be unsettling.
Yeah.
To wake up.
Going back to religion, I am not religious. I dabbled a bit, but nothing felt right because nothing ever feels right. But anyway, so I guess I think of myself as agnostic. Again, it's that thing where I'm like, there's so many people in the world and there's so much that's happened that I can't say that there's no God anywhere of any kind for anyone. Like, I just don't feel like I can say that. So I go with agnostic, but you better believe that if I thought someone needed an exorcism, I'd be Catholic so fast. Like, I don't think I'd be Catholic, but I would definitely, like, lean into that to try to help. Like, if vampires are real, I'm gonna hope that crosses can ward them off. When I was a kid, I would wear crosses all the time. That's because I was real into Buffy. So, like, to help ward off the vampires,
Do you remember that time that we were at...
What time, Tim? Tell me.
The time that we were at that fast food Mexican restaurant. I feel like we are buzz marketing too much, so I feel the need to, like, distance ourselves from brand names.
I was like, that was vague as hell. What's he talking about?
Anyway, we were there, you and I and some friends, and this guy, like, I can't remember the exact circumstances, but he came up and started talking about
that guy.
Ronan.
I'm pretty sure.
Why am I saying his name on the podcast? We should cut that out.
Why? It was, what year is this? That was like 14 or 15 years ago. I think we're safe. Statute of limitations. I'm pretty sure his name was Roman.
It was one of those two, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, but he came over and started having a conversation with us. And then we realized that, like, the main reason he had come over was because, AJ, you were wearing a shirt that had, like, a design with, like, layered geometric crosses on it. Mm-hmm. And, like, he wanted to know, like, oh, so do you go to church? Like, what church do you go to? Mm-hmm. And, like, he started getting real religious.
I'm also going to point out that was the moment that I realized that shirt was covered in crosses. Like, I'd been wearing that shirt for months, if not at least a full year. And he like, pointed it out, and I was like, oh my god, these are crosses. And, like, I had no idea. I was like, oh, alright, I like the shirt. It's black and white, and it's got some stuff on it. Yeah, I'll take it. And I did not realize they were crosses.
They're
I didn't
like,
look at it that hard.
They're, like, 3D-ish, kind of. Like, I mean, flat drawn, but, like, 3D. You know, like, when you draw a cube.
Yeah.
Like that, but crosses. I think it was kind of like a subtle pattern. I don't think it's crazy that you didn't notice that there were crosses on your shirt.
I mean, now that I think I still have that shirt in, like, my scrap fabric bin, but, like, knowing that they're crosses now, I think it's absolutely crazy that I didn't know that they were crosses. Like,
I mean, I will say that I knew that they were crosses, but, like, I don't think...
You were Catholic AF, so, like...
I was a lot more religious when I was younger, yeah.
Timothy was stupid religious. Like,
it was obnoxious.
Timothy and I were really good friends in high school, but if he was still as religious now as he was then, I don't think that he and I would be roommates. I don't think that it would work out.
Yeah.
When we moved in, the options of the things that we would hang above our front door were either his crucifix or my spoon to ward off serial killers, and he very graciously allowed me to put my spoon up.
I love the spoon.
I mean, and we haven't been killed yet, so, like,
it's true,
that bitch
works.
is working.
The system works. The spoon system, not like the world system.
Oh god, no.
But yeah, I very much consider myself a cultural Catholic at the very least. I mean, I do believe this sort of framework of Catholicism. I think ultimately my religious view, when you put aside, like, the very specific, like, Catholic stuff and the Jesus stuff and all that, I think that God is love and love is God. So, like, if you believe in love, to me, that's God. Like, that's all God needs to be for me. I don't know where I was going with that, but that's how I approach religion. And all the other stuff is good if it's helpful for you, but don't give other people a hard time about it. I don't know.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm not religious at all, but I'm not going to go around telling people to stop being religious. Like, I mean, like, as long as you treat other people nicely, I mean, I feel like you probably shouldn't need a religion to do that. But as long as you treat people nicely...
Yeah.
We're chill. I think it was in 2016, actually. I'm pretty sure it was that election. I was talking to a friend of mine whom I knew to be religious, and she was saying how she didn't believe... she might be listening to this. Hey, friend. She was saying that she didn't believe in voting. She was like, it doesn't do anything, it's not helpful. And now, granted, I thought that at one point, but I learned that that's not true, and we can talk about that in another episode. But for now, she was just talking about how she didn't think it was helpful, and, like, there's no point. And so I was like, you're religious, right? And she confirmed, as she had confirmed in the church previously. So I was like, okay, well, do you know that saying, like, I'd rather live my life like there is a God and die to find out there isn't, than live like there isn't a God and die to find out there is? And she was like, yes. And I was like, well, why doesn't that apply to voting? Why can't you just take, like, 15 minutes to go vote? Because if it does help, then you did it. But if someday you finally understand that it does help and you didn't do it, you're going to wish you had. Like, I feel like even if you don't believe that it's working, if you don't believe that it's hurting, why wouldn't you try it anyway, just in case? I almost said JIC, but I realized people don't know that I say that all the goddamn time, so they might not know what I'm saying. Just in case, JIC. Write that down, y'all.
The religious principle of living as if there's a God, whether or not there is, rather than living as if there's not a God and having to find out later that there is, it's called Pascal's wager.
Who dat?
Blaise Pascal was a French philosopher and theologian.
He sounds hot. Oh, by the way, that's how, you know what? It rides Ronan, two ends. That's how Ronan ended up sitting with us in the first place. He cornered me when I was, like, pouring a drink, and he was just a very attractive man. He was like, can I sit with y'all? And I was like, yeah, you can.
He was very attractive.
You know where I want to sit.
Oh my goodness. Oh man. Now I'm just thinking about the political point that you made to your friend and like how that can be applied to environmentalism. Like I know that has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but like I hear so many people who are like, oh yeah, well, I mean, I don't know these people personally for the most part, but occasionally I'll hear or read someone say something about how, you know, oh, global warming isn't real, climate change isn't real, or at the very least there's nothing we can do about it or whatever. But my thinking is always like, well, A, you're not listening to the consensus of science, but B, even if you're right, wouldn't you rather at least try and find out that you tried for nothing than like not try and, you know, drown when the seas rise or,
right?
You know, I don't know. But
that's also like how I'm living my life with COVID. Like every time I have to go to the grocery store when I come home, like I fucking wipe everything down. Like everything. Wash my hands like 20 times. And it's like maybe I'm overdoing it, but also maybe it's protecting me. It doesn't hurt to do something just because it might help you, even if you're not sure it does.
It's
like,
true.
And in the case of like climate change or voting, especially because it's not just helping you, it might be helping others.
Yeah.
By might, I mean it's definitely helping others. Frickin' vote. Frickin' climate's real.
Yeah.
Well, the climate is also real, but climate change is also real.
I could be wrong. I don't think that there's anybody who believes that the climate is a hoax.
Timothy, there are flat earthers. Someone believes the climate is not real, and they need to know that it is.
I guess technically people who believe that we live in a simulation think that, or a hologram or whatever, think that the environment's not real.
You think we don't live in a simulation?
You
think we choose to be friends?
I think that I didn't know that was the direction you were going.
You never see it coming.
I really don't. I forgot what we were talking about. Oh, we were talking about people believing that the world is a simulation.
Oh, yeah.
Like all people there are a number of people, including some scientists, who are much smarter than I am, who believe that it's likely that we live in some sort of simulation, but I choose not to believe that because I can't handle that. So I need to believe that the world is real, as messed up as it is.
I've never actually looked into that at all. I mean, I've heard it. I basically only heard about it in passing. But there are scientists that believe?
Some, yeah. Stephen Hawking didn't think it was impossible.
And where's he now?
Rest in peace, Stephen Hawking.
Y'all, if y'all ever think I make a questionable joke, feel free to call me on it and I'll just block you. Anyway, I'm gonna have to look into that, but like, yeah, as of this moment, I don't think that that's real. Oh, hey, I think maybe we just found something. I mean, again, to be fair, I haven't actually looked into it yet, but maybe we just found something that I can concretely say I don't believe is possible. Because, and it's the same argument, because I'm like, there are so many people in the world, and there have been so many people in the world. We're all fake and being controlled. Like, I mean...
Well, the theory, as I understand it, is sort of like... Think of, like, a game like The Sims or something. Have you ever played The Sims?
I watched Louise play it a lot.
Okay. Well, so in that game, in theory...
Oh, hey, Louise, if you're listening. Sorry, go on, Tim.
Hey, Louise. In theory, in that game, you could, for all intents and purposes, you could make, like, an infinite number of people. And, like, in the simulation theories, as I understand them, it would be as if your Sims thought that they were real. You know what I mean? But they're not. Well, I mean, they are to themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. I'll have to look into this on my own time.
Yeah, it's complicated and it's interesting, but it does weird things to my brain and I don't like it.
Yeah, no, I get that.
That's one thing that I'll say. If it's true that we live in a simulation, I don't think it matters because this world is real to us. You know what I mean? We have to behave as if it's real.
Yeah.
But I also don't want the world to be a simulation. Or the universe or what have you.
Okay, we need to start wrapping it up, but we can't end it on that. So I was like, okay, he's done talking and I'll interrupt him. Oh, there he goes again. Okay, he's done talking, I'll interrupt. Oh, there he goes again.
Sorry.
Oh, he's spiraling. It's not a simulation. Tim, come back to me. We have to end our podcast now. Oh, you know what? I think that's how that's how we're gonna get out of this.
Yeah, I really like that. Leave that in.
Okay.
Why? I guess I'm editing. Leave that in, Timothy.
Okay, so thanks, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. Let us know what you think about the paranormal, supernatural, aliens, or just in general unexplainable events. We're really curious about it. You can let us know all that stuff on the socials. Again, I said it, but I'll say it again. Can I Bother You? On Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search our name, we're there. Oh, and hey, also, we're hoping to start giving advice because we are just so good at solving other people's problems. So if you have any issues that you would like some input on, send us an email at botherus@canibotheryu.com and we will tell you how to live your life. And you can find all those links to the socials and our email in the show notes. Hey, Timothy, where can they find you on the internet?
Y'all can find me at TCJDV on Twitter and Facebook, and at Tomatio88 on Instagram, as well as what I'm doing in the writing world at TimothyDailey-Valdes.com. And y'all, if you are enjoying the show, we would love it if you could throw us a positive rating, maybe a review, and if you'd like to subscribe to us on your podcatcher of choice, we would be so honored. Also, we have a Ko-fi account. If you'd like to support us financially, that would mean so very much to us, and it would enable us to continue hanging out with y'all every week.
Yeah, and if you want to hang out with me more, you can find me on the internet at AJReyesF13 on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Let me try to make you laugh. Sometimes I succeed and mostly I fail. You should watch.
He's being very modest. He's hilarious. Well, you know, you've heard him on this show.
Anyway, yes, check out our show notes and check us out next week and check us out on the internet and be our friend forever. 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 Okay, bye.
Bye, y'all.